All right. So now that we know a little bit about calories, calorie deficits, and when you're in too big of a deficit, your body starts to eat itself. We talked about the hair and how that happens. And we already started to hit on muscle wasting and how the body starts to eat muscle because of that calorie deficit as well. So I'm a big believer in this, not believer. It is the truth. I am a big proponent of this as well. Having owned a training facility for 10 years,
Right.
like that was something that I talked with everybody about before GLPs were even a thing.
Sure.
Like if you're going to eat in a deficit, be prepared for your body to start to eat itself. And that's the last thing that you want. It's going to do it to some degree, which we'll talk about, but you want to minimize it as much as possible. So why is that happening? How is that happening? And then we'll get into how we can keep it or reduce it from happening.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you're in a caloric deficit, the body's a smarter machine. And so, you know, it's going to tap, especially if you aren't giving it enough protein, into its own amino acids to fuel processes. And that's where muscle tissue finally gets chewed up. And at the end of the day, what that does is, our listeners need to understand, you know, the basal metabolic rate, the BMRs, is really important here. And, you know, that's just really how much calories you can burn at rest, right? And so with you and I having good muscle tone on our bodies and lean, we're going to build, you know, burn more calories than another guy sitting here at the same weight as us, who's maybe 25%, right? And that's because we have more lean tissue, and muscle is just more expensive. It's more calorically expensive. The last thing you want to do is employ these things and not provide enough nutrients. And then what's going to happen is you're going to tap into that muscle tissue and that BMR goes lower, right? And the scary part about that is that's why you see in the news after people have used GLP-1s and they say, well, I gained it all back and I look even worse. Well, because you didn't do it right, you didn't develop new habits, you didn't get strength training in, and you just kept titrating up the drug to get a result.
Better.
And the higher that drug got, the more you shaved off tissue. So now you've hollowed yourself out and you are less efficient sitting there today than you were prior to using the medication. And now they blame it on the medication. Okay. And I know the medications work because I've used microdosing TERS for my bodybuilding shows and I won. So you don't have to lose muscle with these. It's important that we have a discussion about what can you do to combat the muscle loss? And that's what we're doing here.
So to talk a little bit about just how the body takes muscle off, if you will. You hit on it kind of a little bit, talking about amino acids. I don't think it's necessarily to get deep in the weeds, but just so people understand kind of what's happening when you don't give your body enough protein. And the body breaks down those amino acids and uses them, blah, blah, blah. If you starve it, eventually it wants those at some point.
Correct.
So what's happening there when your body's like eating itself or eating the muscle?
It's breaking down direct muscle tissue. So to get you through your day is what it's doing. Protein in and of itself, especially if you're not eating enough carbohydrates, can actually be converted to carbohydrates via gluconeogenesis. And so if you're also not given enough protein, it'll pull it from those amino acids from your tissue. And it'll convert those amino acids to basically carbs to fuel. It's called glycogen, it's not really carbs at that point, via that process to give you that energy. So that's why even someone on keto needs to make sure they get at least some protein in. You can't go too much because then it will convert and you can't get into ketosis, and it's probably for another day, but you have to provide that substrate or else you're going to pull it from the lean muscle to convert it via gluconeogenesis into glycogen to be burned.